So, morning, everyone. It's lovely to see so many names and faces. Mummy, sorry, I've got my mum here, and we're having an interesting time. So you can sit here and relax here. Just try not to chew so loud. She's chewing her rust. And anyway, good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you all here, and we're actually in a place called Bahumbi, which is such a lovely game and spa area. And it's in Eston, not far from, and it's kind of in between Maritzburg and Durban. And I am planning a retreat here at the beginning of next year for mothers and daughters, or sort of varsity students, daughters, or best friends and things. So it's lovely to be here to sort of explore it. We've been here before as a family. It's just such a beautiful area. But it's also lovely to be here with my parents, and it's a special time for us, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that now. But obviously today we start with the acknowledgement that today is September the 11th. It's such a significant day globally, a day of remembrance from 23 years ago, and those of us who are my age or older will remember, I'm sure, with absolute clarity where we were standing, what we were doing when we heard the news, and as we watched the scenes unfold in front of our eyes on TV. It doesn't feel like it could possibly be 23 years ago now. And these days, I'm actually still not entirely sure what happened. I'm not sure that it was the narrative we've been fed, but because there's a lot that's actually conflicting and confusing about that. But that's for another day. And there's just no doubt that this was an absolute tragedy, and such a shock and such a loss for our world in so many ways and so many personal lives. And so I just want to start the morning. So I love to use my frankincense and my rose whenever. Frankincense is wonderful for helping to calm and ground. It's been used in religious ceremonies for years and centuries, because it really slows breathing and induces more of a meditative state. And then rose is the oil of divine love, and I always want to connect to God and to when I do these. So for me, these are my two favorite oils that I use. Also sometimes Melissa, and there are a few others. But it's a very special time for us to be here, for me to be with my parents, but it's also a very sad time because my mum's brother, Graham, very unexpectedly died on Sunday night. And it was very unexpected. And it looks like he might have had an aneurysm. He died in his sleep at night in bed. And our families have always grown up very close. As I said, he's my mum's brother. We shared a holiday house with them in St. Francis Bay from sort of 1984. We're very close. We spent every holiday together with them for 20 years until we all got too big for the holiday houses. We were all getting engaged and married and starting to have kids. So we sort of now have our own houses, our own family houses. And my dad and my uncle were at school together. My mum and dad met each other through my uncle. My dad and my uncle ran an engineering business together for 30 years. And so anyone who's run a business with anyone else will know how challenging it is. It's not always easy. And yet they were so supportive of each other and still managed to go on holidays together and still managed to have a wonderful relationship. I think they were almost the yin and the yang. My uncle was the eternal optimist that everything was always going to be okay. And my dad was a little bit more of he'll call it the realist. But it was just, they were such a good team. And Graham and Colleen, my aunt and uncle, moved down to St. Francis. I don't know how long ago. It was about 10 years ago now, I think. And my parents moved down about 2 years ago, and they've had such lovely times together since then. In fact, they've just done a lovely road trip to the Karoo together. And so it just feels like it's too soon and so unexpected, and we didn't get to say goodbye. And But we also know that he was still fit and well. He had had health challenges recently, and I think he was actually probably sicker than we actually realized. But he always made light of it and things, which is why, I think we also sometimes didn't realize. But he would have hated a life without being able to play golf and to be mobile and do trips and that sort of thing. So, it is in lots of ways a blessing, but it's just with a shock like this, it takes possibly weeks, like days and weeks and even possibly months, years to internalize it. And a part of me really doesn't want to and sort of is resisting that it's true. And I haven't gone onto Facebook. I haven't seen, I know my cousin, and there have been numerous posts. I haven't been able to bring myself to do that or to post myself. And part of that is my own resistance to this happening. I've noticed it arising in me that I don't want it to be true, and I don't want it to be so real. I kind of need it to sink in before I can publicize it. But we lit a candle for him on Monday and for their whole family, Colleen and Heather and Linda, and I want to dedicate this session to them and to our extended family. And for me, lighting a candle and doing a prayer is very supportive. And I do it whenever I'm wanting to bring someone to mind or hold them in my heart. I'm wanting to offer up prayers, because then I leave it somewhere where I see it or walk past it often. And every time I do, I offer up prayers for them. So I find it very comforting. And so, yeah, there's a lot of tragedy at the moment, unfortunately. Even just I saw that there's possibly the burning down of Joburg Country Club, but they seem to have contained it, but we don't know how much the damage was yesterday evening. And again, there's just all this stuff astrologically at the moment about shock and the unexpected and surprises. And it's not easy times. And it's very easy for us all to get very unsettled. And again, I find myself resisting it and not allowing it. Like somehow if I resist it or I fight against it or I don't allow it, it won't happen, or I haven't condoned it happening, because I don't want to condone it. And yet our mindfulness practice has taught me so much about acceptance. And the first arrow in our heart is the actual pain and the trauma. So the fact, like, my uncle has died, or there's been a fire, or the Finnemore family, that's the trauma, the pain. They've died, he's left us, we'll never see him again physically. There's the pain of the loss. But in mindfulness practice, we learn that the second arrow in our heart is actually often self-inflicted. And that's the arrow we put in there when we resist it and fight it and feel like it shouldn't have happened, or they were too young, or how could it have happened? How could God have allowed it? All the things that we resist, like, he's too young, he shouldn't have done that, children should never go before their parents, all these sorts of things. And every time we resist it, it's like we twist that arrow in our heart and we make the wound less able to heal. And so our mindfulness practice really encourages us just to stay with the first arrow of the sadness and pain without adding the second arrow. And it's such an ongoing practice. And as you can hear, I'm really trying to learn it myself and practice it myself. And so in these mindful moments, we're learning to sit with ourselves and to allow everything, the good and the bad, and to drop the judgments and the labels about things. So yeah, we're going to practice this in our practice today of more allowing everything to be. And so I just invite us to just really take our seats this morning and just to really fully occupy this moment. And if there are parts of ourselves that are somewhere else in some other time in the past or the future, just to invite them all to come back to us, that we could be here now together. So just taking a few breaths and just settling into just being here with all the tumult, with all the difficulty that might be in our lives. Still, we can just breathe in and we can just breathe out, and we can just be here recollecting ourselves with presence. Just feeling into the contact between your body and the floor, whether through your soles of your feet or your legs. And just knowing that the earth is supporting you at this moment. Just allowing the in-breath and the out-breath to flow naturally. And just experiencing how the breath arrives, what happens as you breathe in. And then just feeling how the out-breath just does what it does quite naturally. Breathing in, aware of our bodies. And as we're breathing out, allowing our bodies to rest and to calm our bodies. Aware of the body with the in-breath and calming the body with the out-breath. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I've only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you have always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without any effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I'm out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt. Nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. Just allowing those words to land. And coming back to the breath. Awareness of the body with the in-breath. And calming and resting with the out-breath. If you notice that your mind wanders into thinking or planning, worrying, just noticing that it's happening. Knowing you can return to focus on your thoughts later. For now, engage again with this, attending to this moment. Inhaling and opening to the awareness that this moment is enough. That's all we need. It's already here. And as you exhale, just practicing accepting life as it is in this moment. Allowing it just to be here, just as it is. Inhaling a sense of enoughness, of even contentment. That things are actually okay right here and right now. We don't need anything more. And exhaling acceptance of how things are. Breathing in enoughness, breathing out acceptance. Thoughts start to wander, which they will because we're human and that's what they do. Just noticing, gently putting them down and returning to the breath. Breathing in enoughness, breathing out acceptance. Perhaps following your breath to your heart space, to the center of your chest where your heart and lungs reside. And just sitting in this space for a while. Breathing in enoughness, breathing out acceptance. If it feels comforting or supportive, you can rest your hands on your heart space. Otherwise, just keep them where it's comfortable for you. And just sitting in our heart space with the enoughness of this moment. With each breath, dropping any withholding or judgment or resentment or not allowing that we may hold. And just breathing out acceptance. And in this moment, you may feel like you would like to invite someone into your heart space, an image, a person, a feeling, and perhaps just inviting them in to sit in this breath of breathing in enoughness and breathing out acceptance. Just enveloping them in this, like we may envelop someone in a blanket that needs warmth, that needs support, that needs holding. Or perhaps how we might envelop them in our arms, in a hug or holding. So just inviting that image, person, people, whatever arises for you. There's no right or wrong. It's just what arises for you. Just sitting in the space of acceptance, of enoughness. It doesn't negate the pain. It allows it to be. If there's an arrow that's sitting in your heart space, just holding it, feeling into the pain that sits there, knowing that we can be with this pain. We don't have to turn away from it. Breathing in, breathing out. Not holding on to stories about the pain, but just sitting with the pain. Notice thoughts wandering or feeling of turning away, feeling of this is too hard, just softening to yourself, noticing this with compassion, and gently guiding yourself back as you might guide a child or a puppy, just back to this breath, to the sensation in your heart space. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I've only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There's absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. So for these last moments of our practice, just breathing in enoughness and breathing out acceptance. Gently letting go of any image or person or anything that's sitting in our heart space and just allowing it to drift off. Perhaps praying for the highest possible outcome. And then when you're ready, perhaps you want to do an audible sigh and exhale, letting go. And gently moving into your fingers and toes, your hands and feet, your wrists, your ankles, your knees, your shoulders and elbows, and just rolling and moving and coming back into your body, back into where you find yourself. When you're ready, opening your eyes and bringing in the names and faces and colors that surround us. Thank you for being here today. Oh, I see my brothers on here too. It's so lovely to have you, eh? And yeah, thank you for sharing this time with us all. And I just want to also thank you for your messages. Yeah, and I just want to also let you know that our spring shed has opened for registration. And our spring shed isn't something that's punitive. It's bringing back our sacred and our rituals into our lives, like the candles and the meals and the stuff that actually is important in life. It's bringing back the lightness and the joy and the nourishment and the community. And yeah, the first week might be tougher with giving up or detoxing, but if we do the juice detox, it's beautifully curated and very nourishing. We're going to be releasing more details about that. And maybe giving up sugar or coffee or alcohol or something for the first few days. But then the rest is about living life lighter and doing it together. So I hope you'll enjoy us. We all enjoy it. We also are really inviting the men in our lives to do it, because as my husband Colin keeps mentioning, he keeps saying, why do you do everything for the ladies? Men want to feel better too. And so we are making this very much for men too. We're inviting the men in our lives to do potentially this juice detox with us, and also to do the spring shed. So it gives, men often soldier on without any tools around. They don't sit for moments like this. They don't connect. Although my dad is sitting awkwardly opposite me, not awkwardly. I could see he softened through the practice, the live studio audience. It's quite disconcerting sometimes. Yeah, so men often don't have this. They don't have the gatherings, the sharings, the community. And we're not going to force them to be vulnerable or anything like this, but it's around taking active steps. I'm actually seeing more and more men in my practice around that want to feel better, but they also, I say to them, you can't just take a pill. It's about doing some of the work like we're doing now. And this is small and bite-sized stuff that we're going to be doing on our mindful moments. On our spring shed. So thank you for joining today. And I'd love if any of you would like to unmute and share something, or I'd love you to. Thank you for the messages. Thank you, Hilda. I appreciate it. Yeah, pain is inevitable. Absolutely. So Hilda had a lovely comment. She says, relating to your message about the first and second arrows, pain is inevitable. And that's the thing. We would never promise that life wouldn't have suffering. In fact, life is suffering. And there's always pain and suffering in life. But, well, she says suffering is optional. And that's the in and out and the twisting. So the pain is, we always know life is going to have pain and loss. And it was never promised otherwise. But the turning of the second arrow and the constant reopening of the wound and extending our suffering through that is something that we inflict on ourselves.
Nikki, hi. Sorry, my daughter had my phone, and I think she sent the wrong emoji into the chat. So I apologize about that.
There was nothing.
4 and
okay, good. I didn't see anything. No. So shame. Not to worry. Thank you. Well, it's lovely.
Thank you. This was lovely.
With us. So I'm so pleased. Yeah,
Nikki, I'm so sorry about your uncle, and like lots and lots of love to you and to your mom and dad who are there. I know how and it's big huge big hugs.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I want,
Gail. Yeah, it's a huge loss in the St. Francis community as well. I know everyone's feeling it. He was a giant of a man, a gentle giant, and so yeah, so gentle. But it's
but I wanted to,
the good
yeah,
news
say
is that
that.
we'll be coming down and we'll be together for, I think we're going to do his funeral on the 24th of September. So it means that
Oh,
in
wow.
our holiday time, which means we hadn't planned to actually come down to St. Francis, but I think we can all come as a family now. It was such a short holiday, so we thought we wouldn't come, but now it actually, so we'll all come down. So that is a great blessing in it.
Oh, wow, no, that is amazing. But I wanted to also just thank you because I couldn't believe it when I didn't know about your uncle's passing. But when I saw the session, I wanted to thank you because it's the first year. Well, it's a year since my mum passed.
Oh,
On and so the session was just really helped me, and it just brought a sense of calmness to me. And thank you.
Oh, thank you, Gail, for sharing that. Yes. I remember the difficult time and your mum's passing last year. I didn't realize it was a year ago. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
How time does fly. And but I mean, what you're saying about the second arrow is just so real and so important. So thank you for that as well. I'm going to share your the YouTube with my sister.
Oh,
I know
thank you. I'd love it to be shared with anyone that you feel it's supportive for. And I mean, it's certainly not to say I get that second arrow right. I put in the second arrow all the time, but I'm becoming more aware of it myself. And it's a practice. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks so much, Gail. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week, and sending much love to you all. Thank you, Hilda. Yeah, I do it as much for me as for anyone else. So thank you. I appreciate you all being here. Any love.